Relax. Just ease into where you are. Let your shoulders soften, your jaw unclench. Your hands rest a little heavier wherever they're placed. Feel the way the air touches your skin, cool or warm, quiet and steady, like a soft evening breeze brushing through tall grass. Allow your breath to move in at its own gentle rhythm. A calm inhale, a soft, unhurried exhale. Nothing forced, nothing pushed. Just your body quietly settling into the comfort of this moment. If you'd like, imagine a faint glow nearby. Perhaps candlelight, perhaps moonlight, perhaps something like the warm shimmer of polished metal catching a soft ray of silver. Let the glow steady your attention, drawing you into a peaceful, timeless space. And when you feel ready, no rush, no pressure, you can let the story drift toward you, as lightly as falling petals, as quietly as dew forming on leaves. Our story today begins in a humble stone cottage nestled at the edge of an ancient medieval physic garden. A healing garden tended by monks and herbalists for centuries, where every plant grew not just for food or fragrance, but for care, comfort, and quiet restoration. The slow-breathing garden, the moon is full tonight. Round, pale, and gentle, casting a soft wash of silver across the cottage roof. The thatched straw glows like quiet starlight, and beneath it a small curl of smoke rises from a low-burning hearth, carrying with it the faint scent of warm herbs. In the center of this sanctuary lives the elderly alchemist, Master Rowan, a man with hair the color of moonlit frost, and hands worn smooth by decades of careful work. He does not hurry, he never has. In the garden, everything moves at the pace of breath, slow, steady, unfolding like petals under gentle light. Master Rowan steps from his cottage, a small lantern in hand, its flames subdued behind thin sheets of scraped horn, glowing in a warm, buttery hue that sways with his movement. The garden welcomes him immediately. You might imagine the way the night air gathers around him, cool, fragrant, brimming with subtle scents that only bloom when the world grows quiet. Lavender brushes his ankles, their purple heads nodding in slow waves. Chamomile cups glow with pale white petals. Valerian leaves shimmer faintly beneath the moon. And in the far corner, a scatter of wild mint releases a crisp whisper of freshness, each time the breeze drifts across it. Master Rowan smiles softly, breathing in the mingled fragrances, a bouquet crafted not by human hands, but by time, care, and the wisdom of old herbal lore. Every plant, he murmurs, his voice warm and low, breathes slower at night. He says it as if telling a secret to the world, a secret you're invited to lean into, to feel, to sense. And when he says it, you might feel your own breathing soften, drawing into harmony with the forest of leaves around him. Master Rowan carries a small tray of silver bowls, polished until they catch the slightest whisper of moonlight. Tonight is a special night, the night he gathers moon dew. As medieval alchemists once believed, such dew held the earth's calmest essence. He kneels beside the tall, feather-like fronds of lemon balm, placing a bowl beneath the leaves. The bowl catches a tiny bead of dew round, perfect, glimmering like a miniature moon. "Did you know," he whispers gently, "that the monks believed dew collected beneath certain plants could ease a restless mind?" He tilts the bowl ever so slightly, letting the droplets slide across the metal's smooth curve. It was not magic, not in the way stories tell it. But dew formed only when the world was quiet, when the air was still, when all creatures had surrendered to night's embrace. His lantern glow warms the dew. He watches it with quiet reverence, not expecting power, but honoring the peace it represents. Your own breath may settle deeper, hearing his slow, measured cadence, the care in his movements, the stillness of the garden, the faint shimmer of moonlit droplets forming all around. Rowan moves from plant to plant, gathering the night's gifts from sage, from time, from a delicate sprig of horehound that releases a soft, earthy fragrance. Each bowl fills not with liquid, but with the promise of rest, with the cool gleam of nature touched by moonlight and patience. A garden that breathes with you. When the alchemist stands, he takes a long moment to listen. Truly listen, You might imagine the way the leaves rustle gently, a quiet, rhythmic sound like someone turning pages in a dream. The wind moves slow and thoughtful, brushing through lavender in shushing patterns that sound almost like breath. The entire garden seems to breathe with him, slow, easy, content. And perhaps you feel it too. The sense of shared stillness, as though the air around you has synchronized with the calm pulse of this medieval sanctuary. Rowan moves toward a cluster of herbs beneath an old apple tree. The apples overhead sway slightly, round silhouettes outlined against the moon. Beneath the tree, a patch of mugwort grows, its silver-backed leaves shimmering like soft sparks. He kneels, passing his hand over them, but not touching. "Dreamer's herb," he murmurs. In the Middle Ages, travelers tucked it into their shoes for long journeys. But gardeners believed it watched over dreams when the world was at rest. He gathers dew from the leaves, letting droplets fall into his bowl with a tiny, delicate plink that barely breaks the silence. You may imagine those tiny sounds, dew touching metal, as soft points of calm dropping gently into your awareness. Master Rowan breathes in deeply, closing his eyes for a slow count of 3. The bowl in his hands glows in the moonlight, silver rim cooled beneath his fingers. The garden continues its slow conversation with the night, crickets humming in the distance, leaves swaying like sleeping breaths, earth settling softly beneath his feet. His voice, when he speaks again, is low, soothing, like a warm wind brushing over cool grass. "Come," he whispers to the night, "to the hearth. Let the dew warm. Let it tell its story." He rises, lantern in hand. Dew-filled bowls glinting like tiny moons cradled in silver, and slowly, peacefully. He walks back toward the cottage door, lantern lights swaying across the herbs, casting soft oval glows over leaves and petals, like glowing footsteps left for the next traveler. Master Rowan steps across the threshold of his stone cottage, the wooden door whispering shut behind him. Inside, the warmth of the small hearth greets him instantly, on amber glow pulsing in slow waves across the walls. The fire is low, its embers dim but steady, like the heart of an old friend who never hurries and never falters. The alchemist pauses, letting the shift from cool moonlight to warm firelight settle around him. You might picture this subtle change in air, the outside freshness giving way to a gentle, earthy heat scented faintly with rosemary and dried orange peel hanging from the beams. He sets his tray of silver dew bowls on a long oak table, its surface polished smooth by years of use. The bowls glimmer softly in the firelight as though holding tiny stars instead of dew. Each droplet reflects the hearth glow in shimmering golden curves. Rowan moves quietly to the hearth, kneeling to add a small stick of apple wood. It catches with a tiny sigh of flame, crackling softly pop, whisper, pop, a rhythm like distant raindrops tapping against a windowsill. He smiles. "Fire and dew are good companions," he murmurs, mostly to himself. "One warms, the other cools. And between them we find balance. Warmth behind you, cool moonlight memory around you, and the soft merging of both in the bowls waiting to be tended." Preparing the dew essence. Master Rowan brings forward a small copper pot, hand-hammered, its surface dimpled like ripples on a pond. When he places it on a low trivet near the hearth, the metal sings a gentle tinga sound so light it fades almost before you are done noticing it. He pours the first bowl of dew inside. The droplets make the faintest possible sound as they meet the copper, a sound that might be more imagined than heard, a sound like moonlight touching water. Next comes the second bowl, and the third and the fourth. Each one seems to deepen the pot's shimmering glow, giving the liquid an otherworldly brightness. The dew doesn't boil, doesn't simmer, doesn't rush, it only warms, slowly, as though the fire itself understands the need for softness tonight. Rowan's face glows with a gentle amber hue as he stirs the mixture with an old wooden spoon. The spoon's handle is carved with intricate spirals, designs passed down through generations of alchemists, each adding their own small mark. He stirs clockwise. 1 slow circle, 2 slow circles, 3, and then he pauses again. Medieval alchemists, he whispers, believed that stirring in this direction encouraged clarity of mind, and stirring the other way encouraged creativity. He turns the spoon, circles counterclockwise now. Soft, smooth, rhythmic movements that feel like sleepy stars drifting around the edge of the pot. Tonight, he continues quietly, we honor both. A garden inside the room. With the dew warming, the alchemist turns to a shelf along the far wall, a wooden board supported by 2 carved brackets shaped like curled leaves. The shelf holds small linen bags, each tied with twine. Their handwritten labels faded but still legible. Lavandula, Melissa, Valeriana, Mentha, Rosmarinus. The herbs of the garden live here too. Their scents woven into the very air of the cottage. Rowan opens the bag of lavender first. A soft wave of fragrance rises, floral, clean, like a gentle breeze through sun-warmed fields. He pinches a small amount between his fingers, bringing it close to the pot. The steam catches it, carrying the scent upward in delicate curls. He adds a touch of chamomile next, tiny dried flowers with white petals still clinging to their yellow centers. The moment they meet the warmth, their apple's sweet aroma fills the room, blending seamlessly with lavender to create something even softer. From valerian root, he takes only a small shaving. This one, he murmurs, was used by many healers to calm the heart. He drops it into the pot, and the mixture deepens, becoming rounder, earthier. The last herb he selects is lemon balm. He rubs a leaf between his fingers first, releasing its bright, reassuring scent. This, he says gently, was once called the herb of good spirits. When it enters the pot, the steam shifts, becoming a comforting blend of warm, cool, sweet, and grounding scents that wind around one another like gentle threads. It's easy to imagine the aroma reaching you, not strongly, not insistently, but as a soft drift, as though your mind can sense it even from afar. With the mixture warming, Rowan pulls a thick, leather-bound book from a small drawer beneath the table. Its cover is worn, edges softened by decades of hands turning pages with reverence and care. He lays it on the table, and when he opens it, the pages whisper, a faint papery sigh, like a very quiet breeze slipping through dried leaves. Inside are sketches of herbs, notes written in looping script, tiny symbols denoting moon phases, and gentle reminders to himself. Patience first. Heat only until the fragrance lifts. Listen to the plants. He turns to a page marked by a pressed violet. Under it, a note reads, "Dew is the world's softest water. Treat it as such." Rowan reads the sentence aloud in a whisper, as if reading to the dew itself, and then smiles softly. He dips a quilted tip darkened from years of service into a small pot of ink. In the margin, he writes, "Tonight's dew bright under the full moon. Garden calm. Mixture warm. Spirit steady." The quill scratches faintly, a soft, repetitive sound that feels as comforting as someone knitting nearby or brushing fingertips across cloth. When he finishes, he closes the book gently, as though tucking a child into bed. Returning to the dew, the alchemist returns to the pot. Steam rises in slow, curling threads, graceful and delicate, each one catching a hint of silver from the firelight. He inhales deeply, letting the mixture's warmth fill his lungs, a gesture that's both practical and peaceful. Perfect. He exhales softly, soft enough to quiet the mind, warm enough to comfort the body, gentle enough for the night. He dips a ladle into the mixture, lifting it with steady hands. The liquid glows faintly, as though it remembers the moonlit garden from which it was born. He pours it into a simple clay cup, one with tiny etched stars circling the rim, faded from years but still visible in the firelight. As he sets the cup down, the fire crackles once, sending a tiny spark upward. Rowan chuckles. Even the hearth approves. He places the cup on the table and rests both hands beside it, breathing in the steam. The room feels incredibly still now. Not empty, not silent, but peacefully full of warmth, fragrance, soft firelight, and the lingering breath of the garden. Master Rowan lets the steam curl around him a moment longer, watching how the warm threads drift lazily upward before dissolving into the air. The glow of the hearth flickers across his face, the light catching in the gentle lines around his eyes, earned from years of smiling softly at plants and moonlight and tiny miracles that others often overlooked. He carries the cup with both hands, moving with the same measured tranquility as someone carrying a sleeping bird. The warm clay presses against his palms in a comforting, grounded way, solid yet soft, familiar yet always a little new. He walks toward a small wooden chair near the window. Its seat is covered with an old wool cushion, hand-stitched decades ago. The embroidery faded to delicate outlines of herbs and stars. Rowan lowers himself onto the chair with a quiet exhale, settling into its familiar creak, a sound as old and loyal as the cottage itself. Outside, moonlight filters through the glass, panes warped slightly from age, bending the light into gentle waves. The window glows faintly, framing a view of the slow-breathing garden just beyond. Rosemary bushes rustle in a mild breeze, and the tall spines of valerian lean slightly as though bowing to the night. Rowan lifts the cup, letting the steam kiss his face again. He doesn't drink yet. He simply enjoys the scent. Lavender softening the edges of the room, chamomile making the air feel round and warm. Lemon balm whispering bright, uplifting notes, valerian offering depth like a low hum beneath a gentle lullaby. The scents weave together, drifting across the room like delicate threads of silk. A memory in the steam. Rowan closes his eyes for a moment and lets an old memory rise, the kind of memory that surfaces only when the world is very still. He remembers his youth walking behind his grandmother through a similar garden. She wore a shawl dyed with crushed elderberries, dark and soft, and she moved with the same deliberate grace he carries now. She used to hum as she walked, not a song exactly, more like a soothing vibration in her throat, something between breath and melody. He remembers her lifting a small wooden ladle of warm herbal water toward him. He remembers the smell of it, gentle, round, comforting. And he remembers how she said, in a voice as soft as brushed leaves, "Warm herbs teach us to be patient with ourselves." He smiles into the rising steam now, because he understands that lesson more clearly with every passing year. He takes a quiet sip. The warm liquid glides across his tongue, blending sweetness and earthiness and a hint of citrus. It travels down his throat in a slow cascade of warmth, settling deep within his chest like a soft lantern glow. His whole body relaxes, not dramatically, not suddenly, but gradually, like long-settled earth shifting into an even more comfortable shape. A visitor in the night. A soft taps on the window. At first he thinks it's a leaf carried by the breeze, but when he turns his head slightly, he sees a tiny silhouette perched on the outer sill. Small owl. Round, fluffy, feathers mottled in shades of cream and gray. Its eyes are enormous and gleaming, reflecting moonlight and lantern light all at once. Rowan chuckles under his breath. "Ah, you again." The owl tilts its head, soft feathers puffing gently. It taps the window once more, as if in greeting. "You always choose the quietest nights," Rowan murmurs. "Good taste." He sets his cup down with care and walks to the window. With a slow, respectful motion, he unlatches it and pushes it open a crack. Cool air drifts in, brushing against his warmed face, both sensations merging into a perfect balance. The owl hops closer, still outside, but curious. It never enters the cottage, never crosses the threshold. Just watches with that timeless, silent intelligence owls are born with. Rowan reaches into a small clay pot by the window, the one where he keeps a few dried berries from the autumn harvest. He places one gently on the sill. The owl studies him, then studies the berry, then accepts with soft dignity, picking it up in its beak before taking a single step back. The alchemist smiles. "You know," he whispers, "medieval healers believed owls understood herbs better than people did." The owl blinks slowly. "They said an owl could sense which plants needed tending, which ones needed resting, and which ones needed the moon's light the most." He leans slightly closer, lowering his voice. And they said owls only visited alchemists whose gardens breathed in harmony with the night. The owl gives a tiny, approving hoot, no louder than someone softly clearing their throat, then spreads its wings. The wind catches under its feathers, creating a delicate FWMP sound, like a pillow settling. It lifts into the night, gliding between herbal beds in a slow, sweeping arc, before disappearing behind the apple tree. Rowan watches the night sky for a moment longer, then closes the window with the same care he used to open it. The latch clicks softly. The hearth glows steadily. The garden rustles in the gentle breeze. Everything feels balanced again. It's the alchemist's bench of wonders, leaving his cup by the window. Rowan walks to a small workbench near the back wall of the cottage. This bench is cluttered in the warmest, most inviting way, with dried herbs tied in bundles, glass jars with cork stoppers, small pouches of powdered roots, and tools made with care over decades. There is no chaos here, only the gentle, lived-in richness of someone who knows exactly where everything belongs. He picks up a tiny vial. Inside is a pale green powdermint, dried and crushed at the peak of summer. Next to it rests a jar of rosemary sprigs, brittle but still fragrant. A bowl of tiny rose petals sits nearby, their color muted but still soft enough to perfume the air when stirred. He runs his fingers across the objects as if greeting old friends. Each one holds a story. Each one holds a purpose. Each one ties him to the long line of healers, monks, and garden tenders who came before. He picks up a small wooden box, its lid carved with vines and stars. Inside are several polished stones: moonstone, green serpentine, soft bits of quartz, and a single piece of smooth river jade. He takes the jade between his fingers, rolling it slowly in his palm. "Stones carry the memory of stillness," he whispers. He places the jade beside the steaming cup by the window, letting them rest together in the soft glow. The room feels full, not crowded, but full in the way a lullaby fills the air around a cradle. Fire murmuring, steam drifting, garden rustling. Moonlight resting, everything working together to create a hush deep enough to settle into. Rowan returns to his chair by the window, carrying his cup once more. The steam rises in slow, curling tendrils that seem to linger just a little longer than they should, as if reluctant to vanish. He takes a small sip, letting the warmth spread through his chest and shoulders, loosening any remnants of tension left in his body. The garden outside is bathed in silver moonlight. Every leaf, every stem, every tiny blossom seems to hold a quiet luminescence of its own. He imagines that each plant inhales and exhales along with him. Their slow breaths invisible but steady, forming a gentle rhythm that mirrors his own. He leans back in his chair, letting the cushions soften around him, and watches the shadows of the herbs stretch and sway with the passing breeze. The night feels endless, yet perfectly measured, like the gentle tick of an unseen clock counting moments of peace. The whispering herbs and the quiet Rowan begins to speak softly to the herbs, though not aloud, more like a murmur in his mind. He remembers that medieval monks believed plants could hear and respond to human attention. Tonight, he imagines that his words are a gentle lullaby, traveling along the stems and into the leaves. Lavender leans slightly forward, as if acknowledging him. Rosemary stiffens proudly, its aromatic needles filling the air with grounding energy. Valerian relaxes into the moonlight, offering the calm that makes sleep so sweet. And lemon balm, bright and buoyant, stretches its leaves as though laughing softly in the night. Each plant responds differently, yet all together form a silent chorus. Rowan inhales deeply, allowing their fragrance to mingle with the warmth of the cup in his hands. It is a blend of scents and sensations that soothes the mind almost before it is fully noticed. The gentle art of distillation, he returns to the dew-filled pot resting near the hearth. The liquid glows faintly in the soft light, reflecting the tiny flickers of fire like miniature dancing lanterns. Rowan picks up a small glass vial, slowly tilting the pot and allowing droplets to drip gently into the vessel. Each drop falls deliberately, producing a faint, almost musical tap-plink. Plink, plink, plink. soft enough to be hypnotic without breaking the quietude. Medieval alchemists believed dew contained the purest essence of the earth, he murmurs, more to himself than anyone else. Collected at dawn or under the moon's gaze, it was said to hold the memory of the plants it touched. As he works, he moves with careful, deliberate slowness. There is no rush, no hurry, only the methodical and serene process of transference, dew to vial, vial to essence, essence to quiet, peaceful night. A pause for stillness, Rowan sets the vial down and leans back once more. He closes his eyes, feeling the heat of the hearth against his back, the soft hum of the herbs filling the air, and the gentle weight of the cup in his hands. Every breath he takes is slower, longer, as if the night itself is inhaling and exhaling along with him. He imagines the small owl that visited earlier, now flying high above the garden, its wings barely disturbing the air. In the distance, the whisper of leaves brushes softly against one another, creating a natural, steady rhythm. Even the moon seems to pulse gently, as though breathing in time with the alchemist's heart. Rowan allows his mind to drift in these rhythms. Fire herbs. Dew, moonlight tan feels a quiet joy in the slow perfection of these movements. The night garden's secrets. Rowan's hand drifts to a small journal resting beside him, its pages slightly curled at the edges. He opens it and gazes at sketches of herbs, dew droplets, and faint geometric patterns that map the subtle paths of energy through his garden. Each plant has a secret, he whispers. Each leaf, each root, each blossom carries a small story of the earth and the sky. Lavender, he notes, was once used to calm restless dreams. Chamomile brings warmth to the chest, easing tension from both mind and body. Lemon balm lifts sadness quietly, like a tiny sunbeam peeking through clouds. Valerian roots, earthy and deep, carry a slow, grounding pulse that even the busiest mind cannot resist. As he whispers these facts to himself, he allows the room to fill with their significance, not loudly, not insistently, but in the soft, drifting way that makes them almost part of the air. Feeling a pull toward the garden itself, Rowan rises with the cup in hand. The floorboards sigh softly beneath his feet, each creak a reminder of the cottage's history. He opens the door and steps onto the small stone path leading through his moonlit garden. The air outside is cool but not cold, brushing against his face and carrying faint scents of rosemary, lavender, and damp earth. Each step is measured, deliberate, soft, like the brushing of fingertips over silk. He pauses at the rosemary bushes, trailing a hand over the needles. The touch releases a fresh, aromatic scent, blending perfectly with the lingering warmth from the hearth behind him. A gentle breeze stirs the leaves, sending faint whispers around the garden. Swish, 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 soothing and steady like a soft lullaby for the earth itself. The moon's gentle glow. Rowan looks up and notices the moon, full and luminous, spilling silver across the garden. Its light traces patterns across the cobblestones, shimmering through the leaves of each herb. Shadows dance quietly, long and soft, following the curves of plants like gentle companions. He moves to the center of the garden, where a small stone basin collects the dew. The water surface reflects the moon perfectly, broken only by the occasional ripple from a falling leaf or a gentle gust of wind. Rowan sets his cup down beside the basin, kneeling to touch the water lightly. The coolness meets his fingertips, balancing the warmth still lingering from the hearth and the cup. He imagines the water absorbing the moon's calm energy, carrying it through the garden, across the herbs, into every quiet corner. Settling into the night, finally, Rowan returns to the cottage, carrying only the lingering peace of the garden with him. The herbs are still, the dew resting gently in the bowls, the vial of distilled essence glowing softly. He sits once more near the hearth, letting the quiet fill him fully. Steam rises from the cup, curling in lazy spirals. The fire crackles intermittently, each tiny pop like a whispered encouragement to relax. Outside, the garden exhales, releasing the final traces of the evening's breeze. Rowan closes his eyes and for a long moment simply exists, warm, calm, and surrounded by all the small wonders of the slow-breathing night. Rowan leans back in his chair, letting the warmth of the hearth seep into him like a slow tide. His hands rest lightly on the cup, still releasing tendrils of steam that curl upward, vanishing quietly into the night. He allows himself to notice the faint steady hum of the cottage, the soft tick of the wooden clock, the gentle sigh of the walls as they settle into the cool night air, the occasional creak of a floorboard where it has always creaked. Each sound feels deliberate, measured, a companion in the quiet. Each sound encourages him to let his breath grow slower, deeper, as if his lungs are learning to inhale the calm and exhale the remaining restlessness. Listening to the garden's heartbeat, through the open window, the garden whispers its own gentle rhythms. The rosemary and lavender leaves sway slightly in a night breeze that carries their scents toward the cottage. The moonlight glimmers softly on the dewdrops resting on the herbs, tiny prisms that catch fragments of the silvered light. Rowan closes his eyes and imagines the garden's heartbeat slow, calm, synchronized with his own. He envisions roots reaching deep into the earth, stems stretching skyward, each plant breathing in harmony with the night. Lavender exhales tranquility. Chamomile sends a warmth through the soil. Lemon balm lifts quietly, and valerian sinks deep into the shadows. The garden's rhythm is steady, unhurried, and Rowan allows himself to merge with it. Each inhalation is a wave drawing in the peace of the herbs. Each exhalation releases tension, carrying it away into the cool night air. The moon's gentle watch, Rowan's eyes open just enough to meet the moon, glowing pale and round in the quiet sky. The light falls across the garden like a soft blanket, illuminating the path between herbs, the small stone basins, and the edges of the cottage roof. Shadows form delicate patterns, swaying slowly in the breeze. He remembers that in medieval times, some alchemists believed the moon influenced the potency of their herbs. They would collect dew under its gaze, believing the silver light infused the plants with subtle energy. A quiet magic that could heal, soothe, and calm. Rowan imagines the moon's gentle fingers brushing across every leaf, every flower, every drop of dew, and he feels the same tranquility flowing through his own body. The ritual of quiet with soft deliberation, Rowan picks up the vial of distilled dew. He holds it up to the moonlight, watching the liquid shimmer with soft reflections. Then he carefully tilts the vial, letting a few drops fall into the stone basin. The water ripples faintly, spreading concentric circles across the surface. Every drop carries a story. He whispers to himself, a memory of the garden, the moon, the earth. The sound of the drops hitting the water is soft, hypnotic, plink, 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 like tiny chimes in a serene cathedral of night. Each circle expanding slowly, softly, until it meets the edges of the basin, dissipating like a gentle sigh. He leans back, closing his eyes, and allows himself to float in the rhythm of water, moonlight, herbs, and gentle breath. A faint rustle at the window draws his attention. He smiles softly, remembering the owl that visited earlier. The little bird is perched quietly once again, observing the garden and him with that wise, gentle gaze. Rowan murmurs in greeting, and the owl responds with a delicate, almost musical hoot. Its feathers ruffle slightly in the breeze, soft as down, and Rowan feels a tiny thrill of connection to the natural world. A reminder that all beings, great and small, share this quiet night together. He imagines the medieval healer's beliefs once more. Owls as silent guardians of wisdom. Spirits who guide those who tend plants with care and patience. The owl seems to nod, approving his slow, careful attention to the garden, the dew, the moonlight. The breath of herbs Rowan inhales deeply, letting the mixture of scents fill his lungs. Lavender calms, chamomile warms, lemon balm lifts, valerian grounds. He imagines that the herbs exhale in gentle waves, mixing their energies with the rhythm of the night. As he breathes, he feels tension leaving his body. The warmth from the hearth balances the cool night air drifting in through the window. His body grows heavier in the chair, supported fully by the cushion, the chair, and the slow, unhurried night. Each breath, long and steady, brings deeper relaxation. Each exhalation releases weight, worries, and the faint hum of the day fading away. A story for the moon, Rowan begins to whisper, softly, as though telling the garden and the owl a secret story meant only for the night. Once, in a garden much like this, an old alchemist walked slowly among the herbs, carrying only his cup of warm dew. The moon shone silver across the leaves, and the plants whispered their secrets softly, teaching him to be patient, to be kind, to breathe. The owl watched from its perch, and the world felt like it could pause forever in that calm, gentle night. The words themselves become a rhythm, a lullaby not just for anyone listening, but for himself, for the garden, for the quiet universe outside. The voice softens more and more with each sentence, blending into the steady hum of the night. Ah, the harmony of stillness. Rowan rises again, moving slowly to the small table where his journal rests. He traces his fingers lightly across the pages, feeling the smoothness of the paper and the faint ridges of ink. Each drawing, each note is a memory of care, patience, and the soft art of tending. He closes the journal and places it near the cup and the vial of distilled dew. Everything in the room, the hearth, the herbs, the window, the stone basins, even the quiet owl outside, feels perfectly balanced. He sits once more, breathing slowly, deeply, letting the night fill every inch of space in his body and mind. He imagines that the garden, the moon, and the gentle creatures of the night are all breathing with him in an unbroken circle of calm. Drifting toward sleep, Rowan's head rests gently against the back of the chair. His hands are loose around the warm cup. His eyes are closed. Outside, the herbs rustle softly. The owl flutters once more, leaving the windowsill to return to its quiet perch among the trees. The moonlight glows gently, touching every surface with a silver caress. Rowan breathes in the night's calm, and the night breathes in him. Every inhalation carries serenity. Every exhalation releases lingering thought. The cottage, the garden, the moon, the owl, and the alchemist all exist in a single, slow, peaceful rhythm. Sleep feels like a soft tide rising. Rowan allows himself to sink deeper into the chair, feeling as if the soft cushion could carry him into the garden itself. Outside, the herbs sway faintly in the night breeze, their leaves brushing against each other like quiet whispers. Each rustle is a soft sound that drifts in with the night air, soothing and unhurried. He imagines the moonlight as a gentle river flowing across the garden, touching every leaf, every blossom, every drop of dew. The light is cool yet comforting, soft against his eyelids as he closes them and lets his mind float. Whispers of the past as Rowan drifts. He recalls the stories he learned from ancient manuscripts, softly murmured in his memory. Monks of old believed that tending to a garden under the moon strengthened not only the plants but also the spirit of the caretaker. Rowan imagines their quiet chants, each one a delicate hum that blends with the night. He lets these sounds fill the air, gentle vibrations wrapping around his shoulders, easing away tension. The night seems to respond in kind, stilling, breathing, moving with the rhythm of calm thought. The healing light of herbs, Rowan imagines brushing his fingers over lavender, chamomile, and valerian once again. Each touch releases soft clouds of fragrance that swirl in the cool night air. Lavender, soft and purple, sends gentle waves of calm that tickle the edges of his mind, quieting the smallest flickers of thought. Chamomile warms his chest and shoulders, a slow golden light radiating from its tiny blooms. Valerian roots send grounding pulses through the soil, which he feels as a subtle vibration up through the soles of his feet. Even the tiniest leaves seem to hum with life. The moon amplifies their calm energy, making every inhalation of their scent a deep invitation to drift further into rest. The soft dance of dew. Rowan leans over the stone basin again. He watches the moonlight shimmer on the water, ripples expanding slowly after the dew droplets fall. He imagines the droplets as tiny silver dancers, twirling and spinning on the surface before sinking gently to the bottom. Each ripple is like a gentle lullaby, soft and circular. He allows himself to match his breath to the pattern of the water. Inhale, ripple expands. Exhale, ripple fades. Over and over, slow, calm, steady. The rhythm of water, herbs, and moonlight intertwines with the beat of his own heart. A quiet symphony that needs nothing more than to be noticed, gently appreciated, and allowed to carry him toward sleep. A companion of shadows, a subtle movement in the shadows draws Rowan's gaze. It is a small nocturnal creature, a hedgehog perhaps, or a tiny fox moving cautiously among the herbs. He watches without moving, letting the soft sounds of its passage blend with the night. The crunch of leaves under tiny paws, the faint brushing of fur against moss. He imagines the medieval belief that small animals in gardens were signs of protection. Spirits that guided and watched over both plants and humans. In this gentle night, the creature becomes part of the quiet rhythm, a companion moving softly alongside him in the dreamlike garden. The alchemist's gentle ritual Rowan reaches for the small silver bowls once more. He picks one up, tilting it slightly to observe the dew collected within. The surface reflects the moonlight, shimmering like liquid starlight. He tilts it back and forth, slow, deliberate, the movement hypnotic in its precision. He whispers to himself. Each drop, each plant, each motion carries intention. There is no hurry here, only the careful attention of presence. His voice is soft. More a vibration in the air than a sound, blending with the nocturnal chorus of herbs, moonlight, and distant rustling. He allows his focus to follow the slow pouring, the circular ripples, the shimmer, the soft cadence of his breath, and the gentle glow of the night.